he's cheating on his lovely wife. I love that lady. Why would he cheat on her? Rude. Hitler's very upset. Again. Hello beautiful people, it's me Sydney. Thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. Today we're going to be doing another episode of Makeup and History. Makeup and History. Last week we talked about Elizabeth Holmes and her scam of a company, Theranos. A lot of you left comments under that video comparing Elizabeth Holmes to Mark Zuckerberg looks-wise, and I couldn't agree more. I can't believe I didn't see that sooner. They definitely look like they're related. Maybe they're the same alien species. We're not going to get into that though. Let's not go there. Today's video is going to be about World War II, specifically the catalyst that would launch the events of World War II. We're going to be talking about Joseph Goebbels, the man responsible for brainwashing millions of people. He brainwashed everybody. If you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe, join my family. Ooh. Also give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy it. It really helps my channel out so much. If you're familiar with who Joseph Goebbels is or this story in general, please feel free to fact check me down in the comments below and also include any additional information that I forget to mention in this video. And if you've never heard of him before, heard of this story in general, then get ready. This is not going to be a normal, boring World War II story. It's very juicy, very scandalous. Members of the Nazi Party were very petty. I was shocked. So you're in for a treat. A treat! Okay, let's get into the story. So per usual, all the products that I'm using will be down in the description box below. If you guys are looking specifically for like makeup tutorials or product recommendations, I do most of that on Instagram. So go and follow me on Instagram. It's a lot of fun over there as well. And if you're looking specifically for makeup product recommendations and mini tutorials, Instagram's the girl. I also dance over there sometimes. It's fun. All right, so I grew up in the US of A. I went to public school in the United States, and our history lessons regarding World War II were very vague. Basically, what we learned in school was that Adolf Hitler was very bad, very evil. I was always very confused at how Hitler was able to attain so much power and why he had so many loyal followers. If he was so bad and so evil, which he was, how was he able to have so many people allowing him to do all of the atrocities that he did? Like, what was going on? So my husband and I found this docuseries on Netflix called Hitler's Circle of Evil, and we were watching it because we're nerds. And here is where I learned about a man called Joseph Goebbels, responsible for brainwashing millions of German people and giving Hitler the power to practically take over the world and kill 6 million Jewish people. So to learn how they brainwashed millions of people, we have to get in our time machine and we have to travel back almost 100 years to the 1930s. We also have to go to Germany. So put your seatbelt on. Beep boop, beep boop, beep. So in 1933, the Nazi Party was the most popular party in Germany, and the leader of the Nazi Party, Adolf Hitler, had just been elected as Chancellor of Germany. The Nazi Party had risen to popularity because Germany was in a Great Depression after World War I.
The Nazi slogan was Brot und Arbeit, bread and work. Basic things that the Germans had grown accustomed not to having.
Brot und Arbeit, which translates to bread and work, which promised a lot of German people hope for a brighter future. They promised to give the German people food security and job security, which made them very popular. Now, Hitler, as we all know, was very racist and very anti-Semitic. He believed that the Jewish people had a plot to take over the world, and they were the reason that the German economy was so bad. He was obsessed with Jewish people, and he believed that their plot to take over the world was affecting everyone, everywhere, but specifically was affecting Germany since they were in such a bad state after World War I. He also hated communism. So Hitler built the Nazi Party with members who shared his beliefs. They all had anti-Semitic beliefs, and they all believed that the best way to restore Germany was to get the Jewish community out of Germany. Once Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, they began working together to create what would be known as Nazi Germany. So on March 26, 1933, Hitler has a meeting with other members of the Nazi Party to discuss how they're going to get the public on board with their plan of getting Jewish people out of Germany. Hitler decides to give the responsibility to a member of the party named Joseph Goebbels. He gives the responsibility to Goebbels because he is an excellent public speaker. Goebbels hates Jewish people probably more than Hitler does. And he's very loud and proud about his anti-Semitic beliefs. He's not afraid to say it. Goebbels believed that putting anti-Semitism at the forefront of the public consciousness would help to get the public on board with getting Jewish people out. But a lot of the other members of the party disagreed with this. One of the members who disagreed was a man called Heinrich Himmler. He believed that the best way to get Jewish people out of the country was to do so quietly and discreetly. Himmler was a military commander. He was also a leader of the SS, and he had already begun kidnapping Jewish activists and communist activists and secretly locking them away where he would torture and eventually kill them. Now, this was before concentration camps became a thing all over Europe, so what he was doing was very upsetting to the public. When the public found out that they were arresting activists, he would tell them that, oh, it's for their own good, it's so they're protected, when in actuality, they were torturing them and killing them. So Himmler wanted to keep everything quiet and discreet, and Goebbels wanted to be very loud and proud. Another one of the members who disagreed with Goebbels was a man called Hermann Göring.
Göring was more this kind of an old conservative elite and not this new believer in that the Jew as such is a danger for the German people. I wouldn't say that Göring was not anti-Semitic, he was definitely, but his interpretation of that was more pragmatic.
So while he agreed Jewish people needed to leave Germany in order for Germany to get better, he didn't hate Jewish people the same way that Hitler and Goebbels did, especially Goebbels. He thought Goebbels was a psychopath. He's like, you're a crazy dude. I'm just gonna keep my distance from you. I don't really fuck with you. You're crazy. So Himmler and Göring were the main two members who disagreed with Hitler's choice for Goebbels to be the one to get the public on board. It's also important to note that the members of the Nazi Party were often really petty with one another. Like, they secretly hated each other, but they all loved Hitler. They were all fighting all the time to undermine each other so that they could be Hitler's favorite. So despite the other members being skeptical of Goebbels, Hitler still trusted Goebbels with the task, and he named him the propaganda minister of the Nazi Party. Hitler trusted Goebbels because they were very close, and he's like, you hate Jewish people just as much as I hate Jewish people, so I know you're gonna get this done. I trust you. Do it. Just do your thing. Do your thing, Goebbels. That's what Hitler said. So Goebbels comes up with this grand plan that he is going to have a nationwide boycott in which he will tell the German people to stop buying from Jewish businesses because Jews are the enemy of Germans. On April 1st, 1933, he sends out military personnel to stand in front of Jewish businesses, deterring people from coming in. He would also make flyers and graffiti on the side of Jewish businesses to make sure that no one comes in. The signs say, Jews are the enemy of Germans. Stop supporting the Jews. He makes a really big deal out of this boycott because he thinks it's a good idea. We're gonna do big loud gesture to get everyone on board with our anti-Semitic policies. We need everyone to know that Jews are the enemy of Germans. Tell everyone. So Goebbels is convinced that this is a good idea. This is an excellent idea to get everyone on board. He's very, very mistaken. He couldn't have been more wrong, actually. The German public is pissed. They're like, what? Many of them were loyal customers to the Jewish companies.
There were still many Germans who carried on in defiance of the SA men standing on the door.
Many of them had orders that they'd already placed. So when they went to the shops to go and get their orders, they were like, why is the military standing outside? What? Move. Get out of my way. Move. So the German public does not participate in this boycott. And Goebbels is honestly shocked. He's shocked and embarrassed to discover that the public is not as big a piece of shit as he is. Turns out, majority of the people aren't anti-Semitic or racist, and they all thought he was a lunatic. It was very upsetting to him. So he recuperates and he decides, okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to play the long game here. Maybe a grand gesture isn't a good idea. I need to find a more sinister way of gaining the confidence of the German public, and then I can reintroduce the anti-Semitic beliefs. Real piece of shit Goebbels was. True piece of shit. So Goebbels decides that he's going to need more powerful tools of propaganda. He begins gaining control of all forms of media in the country of Germany. He needs to get control of the radio, he needs to get control of the newspapers, and he needs to get control of the new booming film industry. Remember, this is the 30s, so films are like just now becoming a thing. Goebbels starts with the radios and begins seizing control of all of the radio stations in Germany. Now, Goebbels hits a snag when he realizes that the largest state in Germany, Prussia, is controlled by one of his enemies in the party, Göring. Remember what I said earlier? Göring doesn't like Goebbels. He thinks he's a lunatic. When he realizes that he's going to have to get permission from Göring in order to have control over all the radio stations in Prussia, he's like, damn, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'll be cool about it. Let me just go and ask him. Let's just go and ask him. See what he says. So Goebbels goes to ask Göring if he can have control over the radio stations in Prussia. And Göring, of course, says no. No, dude, you're a lunatic. Why would I give you control over my state? No. He's like, no way, Jose. I will not give you control. Sorry. Goebbels is very upset by this. Of course, he needs Prussia because Prussia is the largest state, which will reach the most people. So if he doesn't have the largest state in Germany, his propaganda isn't going to work. It needs to reach everyone, everybody. So Goebbels is like, shoot, what should I do? Dang, what should I do? I need Prussia. What am I going to do? He goes to Hitler. Goebbels devises a plan to undermine Göring in Hitler's eyes. But he can't just outright say, hey, Hitler, Göring's being mean to me. He won't let me do this. Can you do something about it? He can't just outright say it. So he has to be a sneaky little bitch about it. Göring was known as a very extravagant man. He grew up with a lot of wealth and he loved material things. He was always a very flashy person. Everyone in the party knew that he was a very flashy person.
This lavish lifestyle of Göring's made him an easy target for Goebbels to attack.
So Goebbels goes to Hitler and he starts saying things like, isn't it so ridiculous that people have the nerve to flash all of their possessions and be so gaudy and extravagant while we're in a depression? He never mentions Göring directly when he does this, but as he's saying this to Hitler, Hitler's like, you know what? That is an issue. That's not okay. We shouldn't do that. So Hitler brings all the members together and he delivers a speech in which he says, hey, you guys have to chill on the flamboyance. Stop this. This is ridiculous. Immediately, everyone at the meeting is side-eyeing Göring because they all knew that Göring was flashy. He loved his stuff. So everyone's like, he's talking about you, Göring. Just in case you don't know, this speech is about you. Hitler also realizes that Göring is a problem and he loses respect for him. He's like, you are the one being flashy and undermining the Nazi Party's agenda. How dare you? People are suffering and you're walking around in gold chains? I don't know if that's what he said, but I imagine so. So now that Hitler has lost a little bit of respect for Göring, Goebbels thinks this is the perfect opportunity to ask Hitler to grant him permission for the radio stations in Prussia. So he does. And of course Hitler's like, yes, Göring is a mess. You can have control over the radio station. Göring's a mess. Göring. Everyone's like, ew, Göring, ew. So Goebbels gets control over the radio stations in Prussia, and Göring is pissed. He's like, this mother... He knew exactly who was responsible for all of this. It was Goebbels. So Göring is furious because he realizes that he's been undermined by Goebbels. So he creates the Gestapo, which is the secret police, and he begins spying on all of the members of the party, especially keeping an eye on Goebbels. All right, so now Goebbels has complete control over all of the radio stations in Germany. He begins mass producing radios. In 1934, Germany produced 1 million new radios, and he made them affordable so that he could ensure every household would have a radio in it. He also created radio wardens that would go around neighborhoods and make sure that everyone was tuning in to their radio. Now, the German public didn't think that this was odd. They thought it was great that they had a new commodity. Radios were being produced, so that maybe meant that the economy was doing better if they had this new good that was being mass produced. So they welcomed it. They were like, yes, radios, woo! But Goebbels' only concern was that everyone had a radio and everyone was listening to the radio. He had people I can't believe he had people going around making sure people were listening to the radios. Can you imagine if someone was like, going around knocking on your door, making sure you were tuning in to a specific program. That'd be sketch as I'd be like, why? All right, so now that everyone has a radio and Goebbels is making sure everyone's listening to the radio, he begins making radio programs that are very inspiring and uplifting. The programs gave people hope for a better future. They promised a utopia where everyone could work together to build a better Germany.
Managed to create the promise that people who have been full of gloom will get a job, that they will be able to go on holidays. They will lead a life better than anyone ever has in their lives.
It would be the greatest country ever as long as everyone played their part. Everyone would work together and make the country better, which is, it sounds nice. Everyone's like, yeah, we could do that. Let's do that. I want to do that. The programs really emphasize unity and German nationalism. So anyone who wanted to be a part of rebuilding the country would come to recognize themselves as being a part of the Volksgemeinschaft. Volksgemeinschaft. I'm probably not saying that right, but it meant the national community. Members of this community referred to themselves as Volk, the Volk for short.
First time, I think, in history there's been such an attempt to create a racial state, and the Volk is a central concept in that.
So because the whole country is listening to these radio programs, the entire country begins to identify with the Volksgemeinschaft. Everyone is part of the Volk. It's a very inspiring message. It gives people hope, and it's human nature to want to feel a part of something. So if you feel a part of something that's for the greater good, then of course you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to identify with that. There were probably people who thought it was a little suspect, but they were the minority. Majority of the public was on board with the Volksgemeinschaft, and they were very passionate about working together to rebuild their country. So the German people have this new sense of nationalism, and they're all working together to rebuild the country, but the economy is still very bad, and they're confused as to why. They're like, we're all doing our part. Why is the economy still bad? And Goebbels is like, haha, it's time. Goebbels reintroduces the Nazi Party's scapegoat, the Jewish community. And now that everyone is on board with rebuilding the country, he can say, the reason that the country isn't getting better is not your fault. You guys are all doing your part. The Volk is doing the part. The reason that the economy isn't getting better is because of the Jews. It's the outsiders. It's not us. It's the outsiders. Now, because Germans have this real sense of identity in the Volk, it's a lot easier to distinguish others. If someone wasn't a part of the new national community, then they were automatically against it. Now, this is also human nature and psychology 101. Whenever people strongly identify with anything, with a group, with a race, with a country, it's very, very easy for them to assume that anyone who doesn't also identify with whatever they identify with is now an enemy. We all do it. It's some biological flaw, I think. But when we firmly believe and identify with something, anyone who doesn't identify with it, gotta go. We gotta eliminate them. This happens unconsciously. Of course, if you're aware of it, it's easy to bypass, but these people aren't aware of it. This new sense of community is very new to them. So, of course, they're going to strongly identify with it, and anyone who doesn't identify with that is now an enemy. Just super dangerous. So Goebbels begins exploiting this. He begins putting little messages in the radio programs that emphasize others, mainly the Jewish community. And this sparks violence. People start acting on it. They start attacking Jewish people in the streets. They start attacking Jewish businesses. They feel very passionately about this enemy. All right, guys, I'm gonna just pop on my lashes and I'll be right back. Wait there, don't move. Okay, so lashes are on, we can continue. Where was I? Right, Goebbels has German people now attacking Jewish people in the streets because they're the identifiable others. Surprisingly, Hitler was not okay with this. He was very upset with Goebbels that there were street attacks and street violence. He thought that the street attacks were affecting the overall peace of the country, which wouldn't be good for everyone. It wasn't a good idea to Hitler. So he calls all of the street violence off. He tells the German public, hey, stop attacking Jewish people in the street. Can you believe it? That was too far for Hitler at the time. So he tells Goebbels to rein it in. Rein it in. Relax. In September of 1935, the Nazi Party hosted the annual Nuremberg Rally, where the members of the party would get together and give speeches to the public about the new and upcoming policies. Hitler intended for the rally to focus on Germany's fight against communism, but Goebbels had a different plan for his speech in mind. Goebbels secretly planned to make his speech about anti-Semitism and to enforce to the public that Jews were the enemy, similarly to what he had been doing in his radio programs. Now, he knew that Hitler would disapprove of this because Hitler had already told him to relax with the radio programs, so he risked Hitler being upset with him in order to give this speech because he so passionately believed that he needed to give this speech. So, the rally's going well, everyone's talking about communism, Hitler is very pleased, and then Goebbels gets up to give his speech, and he starts ranting and raving about the Jews being the enemy and talking about anti-Semitic policies and everything Hitler told him not to talk about. Now, at first, Hitler is pissed. He's like, what is he doing? I told him not to talk about this. I told him that we were talking about communism. Why is he what is he doing? I told him. Hitler's upset. But then Hitler sees that the crowd is going wild. The crowd is loving everything that Goebbels is saying, and they're cheering and agreeing with him. They really want something done about this Jewish problem. So once Hitler sees how passionate the crowd is about anti-Semitism, he's like, all right, fine. Now the rally's about that. It was about communism. Now it's about anti-Semitism. Goebbels is very pleased, obviously, because that could have went really wrong for him. Like, Hitler could have been pissed. He could have lost his job. God damn Goebbels. In just 2 years, the public had switched to being upset about the boycott that Goebbels had originally planned to now being fully on board with getting the Jewish people out of Germany, to the point where they themselves were attacking Jewish people in the streets. 2 years. 1933, they were like, no. 1935, they're like, yeah, we need to get them out of here. 2 years and them goddamn radio programs, everyone lost their fucking minds. That's absolutely terrifying. It terrifies me how easily manipulated we are as humans, how malleable our brains are. Like, it took him 2 years to completely brainwash everybody. That's scary, you guys. That is scary. Anyways, let's continue with the story. So immediately following the rally, Hitler, Goebbels, and some other members of the Nazi Party get together to immediately start drafting anti-Semitic laws. These laws would completely strip Jewish people of their citizenship. It would outlaw marriage between Germans and Jewish people. It would deny Jewish people the rights to education and employment in the country of Germany, effectively making them outsiders, which was the whole purpose of the laws, to make Jewish people outsiders. They had no more rights, no rights. Now, the issue came with how would they identify who was Jewish and who wasn't. It was very confusing, even for Jewish people. What defined being Jewish? Was it your religion? Was it where you were born? Was it your parents' religion? What did it mean to be Jewish? They argued about this for hours before deciding that anyone who had 3 grandparents who were considered Jewish would be Jewish and therefore stripped of all their rights in Germany. So they passed the laws, and Göring, remember him, finds out about the laws, and he's furious that he wasn't asked to be a part of it. He had no idea that they were doing this. Goebbels made sure that Göring was not a part of the lawmaking, and this made Göring very furious. I mean, he already didn't like him, so he was like, wow, bro, now you're trying to keep me out of making the laws? Are you kidding me? Göring is pissed. The entire time, Göring has been spying on Goebbels, remember, because he has the secret police. So he's been keeping an eye on all of the members of the Nazi Party, specifically Goebbels, because he hates Goebbels. Göring and his secret police have recently gotten hold of the most advanced technology of the time, phone tapping. So they've been listening to the personal, private conversations of all of the members. And now Göring has some tea on Goebbels. He realizes that this is the perfect time to expose the information that he has on Goebbels, because it's good. Goebbels, who had control over all media in the country of Germany, had also gained control of the new film industry. So from listening to Goebbels' conversations, Göring had figured out that Goebbels was being a hoe, basically. He was cheating on his wife with tons of actresses who were a part of his film studio. Goebbels had numerous affairs, but his latest and most serious affair was with an actress called Lida Barova. Lita Barova! Now, Lita was an actress from Czech, and she was hired to play the role of seductress mistress because those roles were not allowed to be given to German actresses since they were demeaning. So those roles were given to foreign women who were seen as less than, which is really rude. But Lita was very beautiful nonetheless, and Goebbels really liked her. From listening to his conversations, Göring had discovered that he was pretty much in love with Lita. Like, he really liked Lita a lot. Göring knows that Hitler would be furious to learn this information. One, because he has no time for infidelity or shenanigans of any kind. Hitler's like, listen, we're on a mission. I don't have time for you to be cheating, messing around, none of that. Hitler is also really good friends with Goebbels' wife. Hitler was the best man in Goebbels' wedding, and he really likes his wife, Magda. They were good friends. He's double upset by this news. He's like, oh, now I got a cheating propaganda minister. He's not focused on what I need him to be focused on, and he's cheating on my friend. He's cheating on his lovely wife. I love that lady. Why would he cheat on her? Rude. Hitler's very upset. Again, Magda, Goebbels' wife, already knew that Goebbels was a cheater. This wasn't his first rodeo. He'd been cheating on her with many actresses this whole time. But she could tell that this time it was different. She could tell that he was in love with Lita. And this was very upsetting to her, obviously. So Magda goes to seek marriage counseling from, you guessed it, Hitler. She went to go talk to Hitler about her marriage. She goes to Hitler and she tells him, you know what? I'm sick of him. He's cheating on me. He's treating me badly. I hate this. I hate him. And since Hitler and Magda were really good friends, Hitler was very upset by this because he was already upset. He knew it was happening. He hadn't told Magda yet, which is pretty fake, but maybe Magda just beat him to it. Hitler sits Goebbels and Magda down together and he says to Goebbels, listen, you either stop this nonsense, stop cheating on your wife, or you're fired. He said, stop cheating on Magda, treating Magda badly, or you have to resign. I'm not kidding. Choose. Now, this part of the story really makes me hate Goebbels even more because how dare you make me side with Hitler? Like, you've made Hitler now look like a decent human being, and that's upsetting to me, Goebbels. What? Hitler really held his boys responsible, you know? You know that they see memes all the time. They're like, hold your boys responsible, call your boys out when they're wrong. Hitler did that. He said, listen, stop cheating on your girl, my friend, or I'm done with you. That's crazy. Don't make me like Hitler. What the Goebbels? Goebbels was a bitch. Goebbels. So Goebbels was upset, obviously, because he loved Lita, but he knew that he couldn't risk upsetting Hitler, betraying his country, so he broke it off with Lita, and he fired her because Hitler didn't want her in any more German movies. Poor Lita took a double blow. She lost her man and her job. Ooh. Göring is really happy. He's effectively ruined Goebbels' reputation. He's gotten his revenge. He was waiting for that revenge. He's like, I'm gonna get you, bitch. And he got his revenge. He smeared Goebbels' reputation. He weakened his relationship with Hitler. He really waited for that revenge. He was ready for that revenge. But now that Hitler no longer completely trusts Goebbels with getting the Jewish population out of Germany, I mean, he still trusts him, but not as much as he did. This leaves room for Himmler. Remember him? Himmler, in case you forgot, was the one who believed in doing things discreetly. So Goebbels believed in being very loud and proud about it and getting people to attack Jewish people in the streets, while Himmler believed we should lock them up and do it behind closed doors. So Himmler, having more power to do things his way, would lead to what we know as the Holocaust, which killed over 6 million Jewish people across Europe. Just absolutely terrible. Terrible. Alright, you guys, so this is the finished look. And I'm sorry, I apologize if I glossed over the end there, but this story specifically was about why World War II started, how World War II started, how they were able to brainwash so many people into believing that everything they did was okay, which it absolutely wasn't. I wanted to talk about this story today, or the reason this fascinated me so much is because I feel like this still happens today, and now there's just more mediums in which to brainwash people in masses. It's very terrifying for me, so always be vigilant. I'm pretty sure that there were some Germans who were listening to the programs like, what the fuck are they talking about? What is going on? What's going on? There were definitely German people who weren't okay with what was going on, but majority of the people were completely brainwashed, which is absolutely terrifying. It took 2 years. That's scary. And I didn't know any of this. I had no idea who Joseph Goebbels was, so I thought this would be a really interesting makeup and history segment. Let me know down below if you would like more World War II stories, because I got a couple. Y'all just let me know. You let me know. I'm also curious to know what you guys think about this story. I absolutely love reading your comments. That's like one of my favorite parts of the day, is getting up and reading the comments under these videos. Love it. So please comment down below what you guys think as well. And this is the finished look. I'm obsessed with it. I feel like I look like a princess. My headband and earrings are from 8 Other Reasons. Jen M designed them and they are beautiful. I told her I feel like a princess when I wear this jewelry. It's so cute. And I got my hair done by a hairstylist in LA. Her name is the Frontal Queen, but she also sells hair. So if you're in LA, you can book an appointment with her to get your hair done. She does a really good job on frontals. And if you're not in LA, you can buy hair from her. I really like this a lot. Super, super soft hair. I've ruined the curls from sleeping in it, but I'm still cute, so it's fine. It's fine. All of the details and information will be down in the description box below, as well as all the products that I used on my face. So yes, comment down below, let me know what you guys think, and give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next one.